Hey folks, how's it going? This is Iron Seagull here, and today I am counting down my top 10 expansion packs for The Sims 4 because, well, there is now exactly 10 that have come out at the time of making this video. So I thought, yeah, let's do another one of these ranking videos. I haven't done these in quite a while. About time I do another one. Of course, I have to give my usual disclaimer that I put in these ranking videos. These are my personal opinions, not the general opinion of the Sims community about which expansion packs are objectively the best. I really need to emphasize that because I'm starting at the bottom of my list. The pack I'm ranking last is already a very controversial pick, so just a warning because I know some people get deeply offended over these things. So, without further ado, let's get started.
Number 10.
Get Together. Yep, that's right. I'm putting Get Together right at the bottom, whereas most people, I think, would probably put it near the top or at the very top. So, no. Windenburg is the biggest world, and it's very pretty, but it's not enough. I feel like still, this is still a game pack overall, disguised as an expansion pack. The clubs feature is kind of interesting to use once in a while, but it's basically just rearranging existing gameplay, and I don't think that's enough to be the selling point of an entire expansion pack. My favorite things in this pack are some of the smaller things, like the return of a few gameplay objects such as the foosball table and the dartboard and the diving board in a way, though it's a diving platform now. Kind of weird that we still don't have a normal size diving board. But yeah, those gameplay objects that are good for recreational use. And I also like some of the build stuff in Create Sim. But when it comes to the big picture, I just feel like Get Together falls flat. If Get Together had included a romantic attraction system and maybe a hobby system, kind of like what The Sims 2 Free Time had, then this pack probably would be very high up on my list. But it doesn't have those things, so it's not.
Number 9.
Island Living. I doubt many of you are surprised to see Island Living rank low on a top expansion packs list, but unfortunately, Island Living, it really could have been so much better. It could have been one of the best expansions for The Sims 4, but really, I think a lot of people have said it best, that it does feel kind of just like a game pack sold as an expansion pack. Sulani, I think, is one of the best worlds in The Sims 4, and its Create Sim is among my favorites too. If this rankings list was just judging aesthetics and nothing else, then Island Living would be very close to the top, at least. I think the conservationist career is a really interesting idea, but it does rely a lot on how collectibles spawn in The Sims 4, and it doesn't work all that well since it seems like you just have to physically be there for a long time. So the career got a lot more playable once I put a lot from the gallery in the Muapalam Island that allows my Sims to easily restore their needs. Also, I don't like how there's only a couple of different boat types and only one Sim can ride on them at a time. And the lifeguard career, I really hate that it was dumbed down from The Sims 3 into a part-time rabbit hole career that I almost forgot existed before recording this video. I also don't like how open water swimming is still not available in all worlds, though I guess that would be more of a base game updates thing. We have them in a few worlds that were released after Sulani, but that's it. But probably the most baffling thing is that while there is scuba diving, that's also a rabbit hole. You can't watch them go under the water like you could in The Sims 3 Island Paradise. And that also makes it a negative consequence for the mermaids, because I think otherwise mermaids, I enjoy playing them a little bit more than I did in The Sims 3, but that really sucks that they can't go underwater and maybe have a place to live underneath the water. I think that would be so fun. But unfortunately, that did not happen, and it's just a huge, huge missed opportunity.
Number 8.
Now we can cross another get off this list, Get to Work. This was the first expansion pack ever released for The Sims 4, and it was interesting. I remember there was a lot of demand back then for an open for business type expansion pack, but while in concept it was pretty cool that it was taking inspiration from both Ambitions for The Sims 3 and Open for Business for The Sims 2, I think it fell short in both those main areas. The scientist career I remember being pretty decent, but the detective career often breaks, and there's a lot of loading screens to deal with. And the doctor career, I guess, is okay too. Though what I use the hospital for most is the fact that you can actually go and witness your sim having a baby. The retail is my favorite part of this pack, but unfortunately does not reach the same heights as The Sims 2, since it's lacking the ticket machine for venues, and you're not able to run a business directly from home. Also, I find it super baffling that you can only use the tablet to have your customers check out, not the cash register. It's also worth mentioning that there's aliens in the pack, though I feel they're really not that great compared to what they were in The Sims 3. Not nearly as many abilities and special characteristics. They do have their home planet called Sixam, but it's a hidden world and there isn't really much to do there. It's just one little area where you can explore and find some exclusive collectibles. Another reason why Get to Work is so low on my list is because Magnolia Promenade, the new world, is ridiculously tiny. Only 4 lots. I think the reason why it's so small is because of other resources being put into Sixam and the hidden lots that you go to for the active careers. It is also pretty disappointing that the active careers are just hidden away. It's more difficult to edit those lots than just normal lots in the game.
Number 7.
Snowy Escape. I thought I was going to rank this one a little bit higher. I think ranking number 7 and number 6 was the toughest part of this entire video. And if I was just going off of the fun factor, then Snowy Escape would have been higher than the next expansion pack on the list. But overall, I would say this one has a bit less value than the next one. Though, that's not to say that this is a bad expansion pack. I think it is pretty good. And it does offer a Japanese world, which we definitely were needing in this game. But I'm really glad that Japanese culture has a lot more representation now, and we also have skiing, snowboarding, and sledding, a big improvement over what we had in previous games, since snowboarding used to only be in the halfpipe. Now our Sims can actually go on the slopes and have the skill where they can build it up, and they can even make their own POV videos to sell online and make money that way and gain some fame if you have Get Famous installed. There are some other features worth mentioning as well, like the hot springs and the mountain climbing, and also they added lifestyles, which add more depth to our Sims' personalities in the long term, which go hand in hand alongside sentiments that came in a free update right before this expansion pack. And Mountains Komorebi, I would say, is absolutely one of my favorite worlds in this game. Though, Snow Escape does fall into the same trap as Island Living, where it's very focused on a world experience and does not overall add much to the core gameplay, aside from a few features here and there.
Number 6.
City Living! So, as the title says, it brought us a city environment with the world of San Myshudo, which I think overall does hold up pretty well, and it's still the only world besides Eco Lifestyle's Evergreen Harbor that gives us apartments, but San Myshudo has way more since apartments are our main selling point, and this was the first time we got festivals, We have the singing skill, which is one of my favorites in the whole game, especially because it can pair with other musical skills, like the piano skill that we already got in the base game, but now there's a keyboard that you can take anywhere with you. I also love the variety of different atmosphere going on in this city. You have the sort of low-end spice market, the high-end fashion district, the even higher-end uptown. There's also the arts district, and Myshuno Meadows, which acts as a central park where your Sims can get married if you want them to. Ultimately though, what elevated this above Snowy Escape for me were the 3 new careers: politician, social media, and critic. This was also the first time we got careers with work from home gameplay, which acts sort of as a middle ground between rabbit hole careers and fully active careers like the ones we got in Get to Work. So in the careers department, Snowy Escape definitely does not hold up to City Escape. The limitations of this pack are pretty annoying though, which prevents it from being higher. The apartments, you can't build them in any other worlds. The elevators have no animation whatsoever. And the festivals, I wish they would change more each time they appeared in the city, so that they don't get boring as easily.
Number 5.
Now we've discovered the middle of the pack with Discover University. I was pleasantly surprised with how well this turned out. Usually the university packs rank lower for me, but I think Discover University was really well done. I love how we can actually attend university from any world that we live in rather than being forced to move on campus. And that campus does not have to be in the new world of Brightchester, because you can build dorms in any residential world. So if you want to have a dorm in Sulani, or in San Myshuno, or in Newcrest, then you can do that. I love how there's a rivalry between the 2 universities. The more artsy University of Brightchester, and the more science-y Foxbury Institute. And you will want to keep in mind the focuses of these 2 schools, because if you want to go for the best degree possible, then say if you are wanting to go into a job that relates to science, then you want to go to Foxbury, and if you want to go into a more artsy career, then you'll want to go to Brightchester University. There's also some pretty handy gameplay objects and features, like being able to place an ad for a roommate. You have the ping pong tables returning, bikes are returning as well, so that's a huge selling point for me as someone who really wants cars in the game. We also have the return of servos. I think they're pretty cool, though I wish we had way more customization options for the appearance. Not quite on the level of the Plumbots from The Sims 3 Into the Future. While Brightchester is not quite my favorite world in The Sims 4, I do love the fact that we finally have a world based in the UK. I just wish it was a little bit bigger. I also love how challenging University can be. If you decide to play with more than 2 students at the same time, good luck! It's an odd thing compared to the rest of The Sims 4, because most of The Sims 4 is really easy, so it was a refreshing change of pace for sure. Oh yeah, and we also got facial piercings, so that's a nice addition that I was wanting for a long time. But a huge drawback for me is that all of the classes are rabbit holes. Some of the ones in The Sims 3 were open, but were kind of boring. I wish they had improved upon those instead of taking a step back.
Number 4!
That's right, Eco Lifestyle made it really high up on my list. This will probably come as a surprise to many of you. The idea of living a sustainable lifestyle and being able to affect how green or industrial the world is around you is something that I've wanted for a very long time, and island living did not cut it in that regard. I do wish the world was based somewhere other than the United States, because we have so many of those. But for what it is, I think Evergreen Harbor is a pretty decent world, And the neighborhood action plans, I think, are a very cool idea, and I love how Evergreen Harbor has those ones where you can affect how modern it looks. I wish it affected the other worlds, though thankfully we can have the general neighborhood action plans, like encouraging your Sims to work out more, or to drink more, or to wear bags. Though I feel like we wear bags and sharing is caring gets a bit annoying at times. I feel they should have added a few more neighborhood action plans so that they don't come up as often. I also think the dumpster is a really great object, not just because your Sims can woohoo in it, but you can basically assemble a furniture set just by going through the dumpster. And the crafty aspect in general of this expansion pack I think is great. I love that our Sims can make their own juice, and it integrates across different packs with different recipes. And there's also the recycler, where you can make use of the objects you don't want anymore. And there's the candle making station, which can help you live off the grid. The new community space lot type is also pretty innovative, as each week your Sims can vote on which lot configuration it should be out of 4 different ones, and it can change into a different sort of specialization. These, combined with the neighborhood action plans, can add more personality to each neighborhood, because you actually have to be living in that neighborhood in order to vote on the neighborhood action plans for that neighborhood, as well as its community space if you have one placed there. One last negative aspect I gotta mention, though, are the bugs. No, not those ones. I think that's actually kind of cool that we have another mini pet with this pack. But the glitches. Most of them have been fixed at this point, but for me, the eco footprint is still horribly broken. It keeps swaying towards neutral no matter what I do, no matter how many turbines and solar panels or the industrial generators. It's ridiculous. Even when I use the cheats to instantly make a district industrial or green, it swings back to neutral within a sim day. It's a huge shame. If it weren't for these glitches, then I think this pack could have been at least one spot higher on the list. Despite how broken the main feature is, though, I love everything else. This pack is still a must-have for me.
Number 3.
Here we are, finally in the top 3, and Get Famous manages to hold on to its number 3 spot. Though if it weren't for the bugs and eco lifestyle, it probably would have been knocked out of the top 3. But here we are, and yeah, I think this is going to be another surprise to most people, especially for those of you who didn't see my previous expansion pack rankings video. But Get Famous, I think, is a really underrated pack. Yes, Del Sol Valley was really disappointing. For a world based off of Los Angeles, it needs to be bigger. Why are there only 3 districts? And it kind of feels like I'm playing in a small town disguised as a big city. And why the heck is the backdrop in the pinnacle so ugly? I guess it looks somewhat okay during the night when you can't see as much, but by golly, I just can't look in the distance when I'm playing over there. Not to mention, my first impression of the pack when I saw the trailer was not the greatest.
There's definitely some interesting stuff here. It's just like, I don't know, are they selling a game pack for $40?
However, once I got to play with this pack, I fell in love with it. The fame system is my favorite in the franchise so far. I felt like with The Sims 3, it skewed way too hard towards just like sleeping with Matthew Hemming or a famous Sim and just becoming famous overnight. Even though that can happen, I much prefer in this game to have my Sims earn their fame through skills. And you can do that with the acting career, which is my favorite career in the game so far. But you can do it other ways too. There's the video creation station where you can basically become a YouTuber. There's also the music production station where you can do a similar sort of thing. But it also integrates with the base game and other packs. So if you want to become a world famous chef, you can do that. If you want to become a famous karaoke singer with City Living, you can do that as well. I really hope we'll get a bands pack in the future that can also integrate with this. Del Sol Valley, even though it is generally a negative for me, does have one interesting positive tied into the fame system. because once your sim reaches level 5 fame status, then they can add a tile to the Walk of Fame and even add your sim story to it. So I think that's a really interesting personality-driven feature that makes the world stand out. And speaking of personality, there's also the reputation system. So what your sims do out in public really matters more. In the end, despite its flaws, I think Get Famous is a great pack, and I would not want to play without it.
Number 2.
I was pondering as to whether I should lower my ranking for cats and dogs, especially considering part of it is in a stuff pack that you have to pay extra money for. But then I realized overall this pack is still too essential for me to not rank up this high. In my opinion, The Sims does not feel complete without pets, and they just give the game more life and personality. And as someone who does enjoy playing with families quite often, it definitely is right up my alley. And my favorite world in The Sims 4 happens to be in this pack, Brindleton Bay, an East Coast inspired world that does feel a lot like where I'm living right now. We also have the vet clinic for the first time on the PC side of things. I think it's a nice improvement over the doctor career in Get to Work. I'm also glad that we have obstacle course pieces, but I wish there was an actual competition rather than just going for an individual high score each and every time. The cats and dogs themselves are pretty cute, and I love that they have completely different sets of traits, and the customization is really great, better than the human Sims. They have a color wheel. Sure, we did get that skin tone update recently, but that's still not a full-on color wheel. One other thing that rubs me the wrong way, besides the low amount of pets compared to what The Sims 3 had, is that we're not allowed to control our pets. I think we should simply just not click on our pets if we don't want to control them, and then have the option for those of us who do want to control the pets. Even with these drawbacks though, this pack is still so essential to me, and it affects the whole game, not just one world.
Number 1.
You carry the stones to the top of the hill.
There was no doubt in my mind that Seasons would keep the number 1 spot. Ever since The Sims 2, Seasons has consistently been my favorite expansion pack, and there's definitely reasons for that, because with Seasons, it's like Cats and Dogs with bringing changes to the core game, but even more so, since it just affects every single thing you play as. You might have to suddenly change your plans because, oh no, it's raining outside. Plus, having the seasons go by gives a passage of time, which adds a lot more realism to the game. Just like with pets, it's so weird to not play The Sims without weather in my opinion. I'm also really glad that holidays make a return, but this time you can also make your own. I've made some really fun ones, and even more with mods. The calendar feature is also quite powerful, allowing you to check the weather for the rest of the week, and being able to schedule events in advance. There's also some fun side features like the beekeeping box, the Scout after-school activity for children and teenagers, the gardening career, the flower arranging table, and there's even a scarecrow, Patchy, who you can have in your household if you want. The only people I would not recommend Seasons to are those who are playing on a very weak computer and would just get more lag from adding Seasons on top of that. But otherwise, if you have The Sims 4, I don't think you should play without Seasons. In my opinion, you're missing out on some really good gameplay. That's not to say that Seasons is perfect though. Even as the number 1 expansion, it still has its drawbacks, such as how hail and deep snow are missing. As someone who lives in Canada, it's really odd and unrealistic to not have those this time around. I also wish I could check the weather of other worlds before traveling to them. For example, if I want to take my family to Granite Falls for a camping trip for the weekend, I would like to know if they're going to be rained on or not. Alright, well, that wraps up my top 10 expansion packs for The Sims 4. So there definitely were some rankings that I didn't expect, but those were pretty much all in the middle, since I always know which packs are the ones I like the most and which ones I like the least. It should be interesting to see how many more expansion packs we're gonna get, because this game's been out a long time now. I'm hoping for maybe no more than 4 at this point, because, yeah, I'm getting more and more ready for The Sims 5. But feel free to let me know in the comments section below what your personal rankings are. And be sure to subscribe if you want to keep up with my latest gaming content, including simulation games and more. So I will talk to you all later, and have a great day. Thanks for watching!